Welcome to the Fireside Conversation with experts on critical issues of corporate governance. I am CS Divija Dave, founder at Divija Dave and Associates, and today we are delighted to have with us a very learned Ms. Poonam Barua, who has been influential in giving women a voice and motivating them to lead from the front. Welcome, Poonam ji. Over to you.
Very nice. Thank you, Divija. I'm just so delighted to be on your program. I think that we have a lot to compliment women like you for, who are sharp, who are bright, who have a vision, and who are complete experts, in the field of finance, which is an area that most women do not go into. So this is an absolute pleasure. And the second thing is that I really, really want to be talking to women like yourself who are going to be the successor generation to lead the debate on corporate governance. And when I started talking about corporate governance, which is almost 20 years ago, I was probably just a few lone women talking about corporate governance. And I think this is going to change with more and more women like yourself who will come and make sure that this is not a subject which belongs to only half the population. The other half of the population is intelligent enough to understand corporate governance and to make a contribution. And it is extremely important also for the company, for the stakeholders, for innovation, for competitive edge, for enterprise, for wealth creation, and for good ethical businesses. So the post-pandemic era, as everybody calls it, has actually given us a very kaleidoscopic view into what is the meaning of a board. The board has really not changed its meaning before the pandemic and after the pandemic. It's the same board. What has happened is that things have come into sharper focus on the board's role, which was not there before. And this sharpness is extremely important because it leads us into what the board was actually set up for. It's a reminder to go back to the roots of what is a board and what is an entity. That is my opening statement to you about the role of boards and why the board has come into sharper focus in the post-pandemic era, because the stakeholders, I believe now, are different, and their minds are different, and their demands are different, and their priorities are different, and their choices are different. Things have changed. They have changed quite a lot.
Era. And this post-pandemic era has tried to bring a cultural shift in the mindset of the boards. So, would you like to elaborate on how boards are going to now function? Because there is certainly going to be some sort of a differentiator in terms of working of the boards. What it was working in the pre-pandemic era and what it is going to work in the post-pandemic era may not be the same. So, your
Right.
views on that?
The thing is that not that the boards are going to work differently, but there will be a demand for the boards to work differently, okay? The boards don't necessarily follow the market, which is why many large companies crash. And they crash because they don't listen to the stakeholders. And it's just a matter of time. It's called short-termism. They're just interested in short-term quarterly results, sitting down, telling you what the profits are. Probably for men, you hardly see any women giving out the quarterly profits, unfortunately. But that short-termism has been holding the market for a very long time, okay? And this is where I think the market is going to demand a change, that we are not interested in quarterly short-term results or your guidance for the next year and how many profits you made. The market will be interested in, did you follow 5 key areas of agility? The first one, adaptability. Was my board adaptable? Did it adapt to the change, to any change, whatever it may be, to the fact that people don't commute anymore, so petrol prices are going to fall, cars will not be on the road that much, pollution might be less. There are just so many things that come out of one small change.
Correct.
Was my board adapting to the change? Was it listening to the change? 2, learnability. Did my board learn anything new? In the quarterly results, the market will be asking, did my board learn anything new? Did it just going to come up and tell us profits or, the share price? Or is it going to tell us, did you learn anything new? The third thing that, agility feature that I think the market will be asking or should be asking is empathy. And that's why I call it compassion, because I think compassion means I feel what you feel. Empathy is a supportive word. Compassion, you actually embrace the feeling. So, were you empathetic? Empathetic not to your employees. Somehow everybody seems to think that empathy is something which is for the employees. Empathy can be for the environment. Were you empathetic towards your environment? Did you make sure that you did not cross the limits of what society gave you as a natural resource to deal with? Were you empathetic to the fact that, technology will be required and there will be many people who may not have the skill to use it? Were you empathetic to that? Okay, so empathy is somehow everybody seems to think that empathy is something you have to give to people. Empathy is something can also be applied to a situation. All right. So was my board empathetic? Can you please tell us in every quarterly result? I'm not saying they're going to do it. I'm saying this is what they should do. Were you empathetic to the issues at hand? For example, do we have a vaccine for COVID? Are you empathetic to the cause? Or are you just simply raising your prices so that nobody can afford it? There are many, many examples I can give you on empathy that has nothing to do with the people or the employees. The fourth thing that they will be looking at is positivity. Is my board positive? That doesn't mean that the board will never say that, we're not going to share price will not fall. It means, do you have a positive outlook? Are you positive about the work that you're doing? Are you doing good work? Is it something that, you're proud of? Are you positive about the outcomes that it will have? Are you going to innovate so that we have some positivity, or are you just going to plateau? And the fifth thing that, I think the stakeholders in general, consumers, producers, suppliers, investors, especially the investors, will be looking for in the company is impact. That is the fifth feature of agility. What is your impact? And the question is, what is your impact on what? Is your impact only on the product that you're selling in the market, whether it's an iPhone or whether it is, a new fashion, top of the line garment? What is the impact that you're making, and how is it going to impact well-being? Everybody's going to be looking at well-being. How will it impact well-being? I'm not saying you should be making bottom line goods, but we still want to know, how does it impact anybody's well-being? Does it connect the world better because it's an iPhone, or does it just give a digital uh, advantage to a few people? You see the impact everybody will be thinking of, especially the investors when they invest in your company. And I'm telling you that the consumers are going to be very, very discerning. They are going to go for companies that look for well-being. These are the kind of things that on the impact side we will see. So boards, I believe, will be seeing, at the AGMs, people asking responses to these 5 questions and areas every quarter, rather than just coming and reading us these long compliances, about what the board did and how what that's going to become something that you can view on the internet. That is not what they need you for. Okay, there's going to be a whole lot of programs that are digitizing the board's mechanics. I'm using the word mechanics because the boards are not about mechanics. So that's where I think agile and compassionate boards will become the key feature. And those who don't do it are going to be out of the game. That's the way it goes.
Thanks, Poonamji. So from this question, another question comes to my mind, that as you said, that board is here to board is set up here to ensure the well-being and wealth creation of its communities and stakeholders, right? So there is no check the box approach for the boards that yes, we are complying with item number 1, item number 2, item number 3, right? They have to sort of pay more attention on the governance part of the companies, right? So here, do you feel that any sort of induction program for the board of directors at the start or maybe during their course of engagement with the company would play an important role, because having in line the fiduciary duties, care, compassion, I think these were the words which are very, very critical. And should they know about it in the refined manner now?
Well, Divija, if you've ever been to any of these board master classes that have been
Mm-hmm.
run for the last 20 years
Hmm.
by these so-called, you know, directors forums, you will understand that they will spend 5 days and they will hardly talk about governance. Okay, they talk mainly about compliance. They talk mainly about regulations. And I'm
Hmm.
saying this is an exam you can study on your own. You know, this is something you can understand and do. You don't really need to come together with 100 people in a master class and study compliance. So the question there is, what is governance?
Hmm.
Right? The idea is, what is governance, and how much time really are we spending on understanding governance? So I have proposed, and I continue to propose, that the issue of governance is something which needs to be embedded in the DNA of all directors. I mean, I've been an independent director on boards for almost 8 years, and I know exactly what goes on. And I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm not passing a value judgment. I'm simply saying it's not governance. It's not governance. We're just ticking a couple of boxes there. And I
Yes.
think that what needs to be done is that, including the chairman and the CEO, everybody needs to go through an induction program that specifically deals with 3 areas. The first one will be, what is the fiduciary responsibility of a director? And a lot of time needs to be spent on that, because the duty of care, CARE, is
Hmm.
something that is often forgotten. Okay, nobody, no, I don't see anybody talking about care,
Hmm.
because they're so involved in these, compliances all the time. The second part of the induction program has to deal with compassion in the post pandemic era. Dealing with compassion is going to be very important, which includes, like I said, your empathy towards nature, towards sustainability, towards technology, towards the digital divide. All of these things are part of your compassion.
Poonamji, my last question to you is, since you have been giving women the voice, and you have been motivating people, especially women, to lead from the front. So currently in this era, we could see that there are companies which are appointing board women directors on the board as a matter of mandate, like their experience, their skill set, their understanding, their personality, their intelligence. These are few characteristics which are considered, like they are not considered to be very, very important for a woman to be a director on the board. So what are your views, because you have been taking that initiative and helping women to get onto the boards?
Well, I think it remains fairly tragic that we don't have enough women on boards, and India perhaps has the lowest anywhere in the world. Okay, and I'm saying it's tragic because there are so many women, smart, skilled, confident, public spirited, and they need to be on boards, not because they deserve to be on boards. They need to be on board so that the board does not think in a homogeneous way, so that there is some diversity of thinking. I'm not saying there should be diversity, I'm saying there should be diversity of thinking. Um, so as far as the mandated part is concerned, even then in my book I have written that there are at least, 100+ companies that still do not have a woman on the board, public listed. And they don't mind paying the penalty, but they don't want the women on the board. Now this speaks volumes. This, I don't have to use the word, but it speaks volumes for bias.